feel like I align with you a lot politically. I feel like I don't know. I would describe myself as an politically an atheist nihilist. I believe in nothing and I trust nobody, and
I love
that's
it.
kind of where I am right now. Even if there's little things I like that Trump is doing, I have Whitney Webb whispering in my ear constantly, not to get too excited about it. And that's
Sure.
what I like about you because you do call out both sides, and I think that's why people like you are very important. I don't like people to get like totally black pilled, but it's like you can be excited about these things, but you also have to go, is there another shoe that's dropping? What are your thoughts on that?
That makes too much sense, man. Yeah, there is a fine line there without being blackpilled, but you also have to be skeptical, and like I just feel like that part of it's disappeared from the right completely, which I guess is to be expected.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we were just talking about this USA AIDS stuff and like how crazy it is. What is your take right now on where Twitter is? Like in some cases it seems pretty open, but then in other cases it's like is there control?
Yeah, there is certainly a level of control, absolutely. And obviously the old regime's gone and we have the free speech absolutist, Elon Musk in there now, but it doesn't mean that we're still seeing what we should be seeing or what we expect at least from a social media platform. And I'm from the old school, I'm from the golden age of social media, and it's just a big departure from all that. Musk has said himself, it's freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. And I think that kind of aligns with like what we're seeing. Anybody seems to be kind of critical of the new regime or anybody that they kind of want to put in a corner as being a leftist. I wouldn't say anybody, but a lot of people, especially people speaking out about the Gaza situation. I've seen a lot of people complaining about censorship and the lack of reach. And even for my own personal encounters, like yeah, our Free Thought Project Twitter account, man, it's like it's might as well just not exist. I mean, we get so little reach there.
Yeah, mine doesn't exist anymore. I'm still
Yeah, the
suspended. I would love
craziest
to
thing
get
is
my ex back.
well,
Yeah.
Johnny, it's like
Yeah,
you've
that's
been
awesome.
excommunicated on Twitter and on Coinbase, and you're not even that bad.
Obviously, so one of us here is the most provocative, I will say. I mean, it was honestly, I think on Twitter, I got tangled up with that guy who has some connections to Ukraine, and he was like, "I'm going to destroy you now," and he did. He nuked he
That's
nuked my
so
Twitter.
crazy to me. That's so crazy that anyone has that kind of power to get you ran off. But you do see that a lot, a lot of these, Israel very much has that where they have just this bot army that they can, my friend Leonardo Joni, some people think she's goes a little too hard to pay. I understand what she's doing. And she got reported and doxxed by a giant Indian group who just went after her. So that is definitely out there. That is something we have to deal with when it comes to these, comes to just the internet. But I do feel in a weird way that Twitter right now has the feel of old school YouTube, right? Like old school where you could kind of like a lot more craziness is on there
Yeah.
than we had through Jack. So I don't think it's totally locked down.
Right.
Uh but there are I think once you start criticizing certain groups, certain things that we you do start to see the levers of control to be pulled.
Sure. No, I agree with that completely. And it's not perfect, absolutely, but it does seem to be probably one of the best options that we have right now. And there's a bunch of smaller social media platforms, but they just don't have the reach, like you can't reach the same amount of people. So we're kind of, yeah, backed into a corner here. And I do think though that there has been a ripple effect with Elon coming in. I mean, we just saw Zuckerberg, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, announcing the end of fact checkers and apparently restoring some reach for news outlets and publishers and stuff. So I do feel like there has been some good with Elon coming in, but I think he's far from what we would expect to be like a free speech absolutist. And I know there's boundaries there. You can't be posting like illegal stuff or like that. I get that. I'm not asking for that, but there does seem like an ideological bent that is like involved with some of the moderation policies,
It
even
is,
still.
yeah. I mean, well, one thing you can't criticize Elon. That seems to be one thing.
Yes.
Maybe it's his. Maybe it's you know, it's his toy, I guess. You know, when
Yeah,
you pay that much money,
sure.
that you get to, you get to control it. And we've seen people take them out. I just, I don't get shocked when people get censored. As somebody who came into the space, right around Hillary Clinton's election when she was stealing the primary from Bernie Sanders,
Yeah.
I just saw giant censorship. I mean, just a boom to the point where, and maybe you might see this as well, that old school conspiracy theorists. Obviously, I'm not David Icke, but I've been in the game almost 10 years in terms of content creating in the conspiracy world. Old school conspiracy theorists, content creators, they still seem to not like us. As these new guys kind of come in, they seem to have a little bit more free range, but
Yeah.
because we kneecapped Hillary Clinton, because we called out the Pizzagate stuff, regardless of what your opinion on that is, they seem to still have a real eye on us and a real hatred towards what we did in like 2015. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, don't get me started on the censorship stuff, man, because we've dealt with a lot of censorship. I don't know how long you've been following me or the Free Thought Project, but like, several years ago, we were taken down by both Facebook and Twitter on the same day. We had amassed around 6 million fans altogether, and we had a whole network of pages and accounts and stuff. So to me, yeah, it is a clusterfuck, absolutely, dude. But there are like certain elements of this, which it does seem like, again, there are some things that are picking up now. Like Facebook all of a sudden is like my reach on Facebook, which I thought was completely dead, is now actually doing okay again. And my police accountability stuff, like, which I thought, after the George Floyd stuff, like nobody was really as interested in it. We're seeing kind of a reemergence of that as well. But you're right, dude. I think it was right around COVID, around the health freedom movement is when we started to see like these kind of new players enter the game, enter the scene, and they have a lot of momentum, and they still have a lot of momentum. And they built big audiences very fast, calling out all the crazy COVID policy stuff, and a lot of them, tend to align with the right. So it seems like that's kind of like where all the rage is at on Twitter right now. And, there's some decent sized left wing and even like moderate and libertarian accounts on Twitter. But if you want to be in the in crowd, you're definitely on the right. You're
Yeah,
definitely
that's
repeating that stuff.
it's really weird how that kind of like swings, right? It kind of swing, ever since Obama got in, it seems like I wouldn't say conservative is punk rock, but this kind of like desire not to play into the Marxist communist kind of playbook that we see like on display in almost all forms of art. I know DEI is kind of getting its ass kicked right now for, I believe, good reason. I also believe it's being blamed for things that it isn't really its fault, but it's kind of the
Sure.
fall guy.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, these fires, lesbians. And it's really like, oh, well, you completely allowed this situation to manifest by pulling all the water,
Such a mess.
destroying the budget and all that stuff. But it's a bunch of lesbians. That's the problem. When in Lahaina, it was all guys, and the same thing happened. So I think that's punk rock. I think what is punk rock right now is common sense.
Sure. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's that counterintuitive kind of information because when anything goes mainstream, there's like an automatic counterculture push away from it, And a lot of the progressive kind of archetypes definitely became more mainstream over the past, geez, I don't even know, what, 8 years or so.